You will feel your spiritual energy change as soon as you understand this. Perhaps at that moment, you will feel a silent restlessness, a kind of gentle pain that has no name. It is that feeling that something is trying to communicate with you, but the message arrives distorted, fragmented, as if hidden among thoughts and emotions that you cannot decode. You wonder if it is intuition, coincidence, or just your mind searching for meaning. And even in this doubt, there is something calling, something that insists on being noticed. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to notice this uneasiness, without judging it, without needing to understand it immediately. Just feel it. The universe, in a way that we are still learning to understand, behaves like a living web. Gregg Braden reminds us that everything is connected. Our emotions, our choices, every gesture we make reverberates in this unified field, as if our entire life were an organism breathing with us. Every thought, every desire, every sensation creates subtle waves that spread out, touching not only what we see but the invisible, that which is beyond our immediate reach. It is in this silent space that communication takes place, not with noise but with resonance. It is in this space that you can begin to perceive what previously seemed impossible to grasp. Joe Dispenza teaches us that our brain filters signals through the lens of past experiences. Many messages are lost because we vibrate at the frequency of doubt, at the frequency of, "I don't know if I can trust this." Every time you doubt, the message dissipates as if it had hit an invisible wall. But when you find moments of openness, when you allow your heart to calm down and your mind to quiet down, these signals begin to appear, soft, almost imperceptible, but present, insistent. It is in this space of calm that you begin to feel, with clarity, what was previously lost in the confusion. Think of your mind and heart as a radio that needs to be tuned to the right frequency to pick up the music playing around you. If you are distracted, if you are vibrating at the frequency of haste, fear, or doubt, the music comes across distorted, fragmented, almost inaudible. But when you find the right tone, when your attention and your heart align, the melody appears clear, engaging, and you understand the message you were trying to hear. What if what you call coincidence is actually a dialogue you never learned to hear? What if every moment you ignored had something to say? If every sign was a silent invitation to perceive more deeply the life that pulsates around you? Now take a deep breath and allow this recognition to settle in you, not as an obligation to understand immediately, but as an opening to feel the invisible, to perceive the language that is not expressed in words, to recognize the rhythm that is happening even when you think there is no rhythm at all. The introduction is not just about learning to observe, it is about feeling deeply that something greater is trying to touch you and that you can finally learn to listen. There are moments when the universe insists on speaking to us, but we fail to notice. Signs repeat themselves, appearing in symbols that arise before us in an almost imperceptible way, but so insistent that they cannot be ignored if we allow ourselves to pay attention. Often we view them as mere curiosities, loose fragments of a routine, without realizing the profound message they carry. The distraction is subtle, silent, but powerful. When we treat these repetitions as random incidents, we lose the delicate thread that connects us to what needs to be understood. Gregg Braden describes these recurring patterns as markers of a frequency we are touching. Each repetition is a sign that something within us is about to change, that a transition is approaching, and that the energy around us responds to our emotions more vividly than we imagine. It is not about haste or prediction, but perception. Each symbol carries an echo that vibrates in resonance with our inner state, revealing nuances that the mind often ignores, but the heart feels. Confusion arises when we try to interpret each repetition as a definitive omen, when we seek concrete results or instant answers. Emotional coherence and the subtle context of life are what distinguish a true sign from a mere echo of the mind. Differentiating these layers requires calm, sensitive observation and a willingness to feel the flow of what manifests without trying to control it. For days, perhaps weeks, certain symbols may repeat themselves, each bringing different nuances, each whispering something that only sensitivity can capture. To record, reflect, and perceive the difference between the echo of the mind and the genuine vibration of a sign is to get in touch with your own deepest perception. It is to feel the silent dance between you and the field that responds to your choices, without haste, without demands, only with attention and openness. There are moments when the universe seems to organize itself in an almost perfect way, aligning events, encounters, and experiences in a way that touches something inside you. It is not just what happens externally, but how each event changes your perception of yourself and the world around you. What once seemed casual or trivial suddenly resonates with meaning, reorganizing your internal state and making room for new understandings. The difference between coincidence and synchronicity lies precisely in this internal effect. Coincidences can be random, fleeting, observed without deep emotional impact. Synchronicities, on the other hand, alter something within you, change the frequency of your attention, create invisible doors that connect your mind to the larger field that surrounds us. Each small event that provokes a feeling of alignment or significant surprise is like a musical note playing, the right frequency within you, awakening something dormant. Greg Braden describes these synchronicities as micro-portals. They are moments when the heart and mind find resonance with the unified field, creating a window to perceive more subtle dimensions of reality. But this perception is delicate. When synchronicity is sought as proof, when it is expected to happen in a predictable or grandiose way, the natural flow is lost. True synchronicity manifests itself silently, softly, almost like a whisper that only sensitivity can hear. Every event that causes an internal change, even if minimal, carries an invitation to perceive beyond the obvious. It is in that moment that alignment occurs, when the heart opens and the mind perceives subtle patterns that were previously unnoticed. And in that moment, you feel the delicate dance between what is visible and what is invisible, the dance between you and the silent intelligence that guides every moment of life. There is a subtle force that interrupts our connection with what we want to perceive, and this force often manifests itself as haste. We want immediate answers, clear signs, instant confirmations, and in this silent impulse, we alter our own frequency. Haste vibrates intensely, agitates the surrounding field, and like murky water, prevents clarity from emerging. The reflection of the sky in a lake does not appear when the water is agitated. It takes patience, attention, and presence. Greg Braden reminds us that coherence is delicate and fragile under pressure. The field responds less to what we ask for and more to the vibration we maintain, to the internal state we cultivate. When the mind demands immediate answers, energy disperses, perception becomes clouded, and what could have come gently and naturally is blocked by impatience itself. Every attempt to rush the flow, even if silent, creates interference, obscures signals, and delays attunement to what really matters. What arises in this context is not an absence of signal, but difficulty in perceiving the subtlety of communication. By replacing urgency with presence, by transforming the question, "When will the answer come?" into a calm attention, "How can I align myself to receive?" we open space for the field to respond. Expectation dissolves and perception becomes more sensitive, clearer. The vibrational rush is silent but perceptible. It reminds us that life responds at the right time, not on our clock, and that harmony only arises when patience is combined with attention. In this space of calm, alignment happens naturally. The water quiets down, the reflection becomes visible, and the energy that seemed stagnant begins to flow again. It is at this moment that we begin to perceive the dialogue of the universe, not as something we need to force, but as something that has always been present, waiting for our willingness to listen, observe, and feel deeply. Sometimes the universe does not speak through images, numbers, or external signs. Sometimes it manifests itself in silence, a silence that arises suddenly, that weighs more than any words, and that unexpectedly dissolves the anxiety and confusion we carry. It is in this space that the heart finds its own voice, and the mind, slowed down, begins to perceive nuances that were previously hidden among noise and incessant thoughts. The change is recognized not by a clear message or an extraordinary event, but by an internal feeling of relief, of stillness that settles in without explanation. The rhythm of your mind, previously accelerated and confused, suddenly harmonizes. Greg Braden explains that states of cardiac coherence create a natural channel for capturing subtle responses from the unified field, for perceiving that which is always present but only reveals itself when the mind and heart are aligned. Silence then becomes a language, a space where perception sharpens and intuition reveals itself gently. Breathing deeply, feeling your body, observing each heartbeat allows this silent space to expand, allowing the subtle messages of the universe to resonate within you. 3 minutes of mindfulness may seem short, but in that time, the invisible becomes tangible, and you begin to notice a subtle and continuous transformation in your inner energy. Silence is not empty. It is full of information, full of presence. And when you learn to welcome it, to perceive its texture, its depth, it becomes a silent guide. A guide that speaks calmly, compassionately, and deeply, showing that often what we need to hear does not come in the form of words, but in the form of stillness, of breathable space between thoughts and emotions. There is a natural tendency to want answers to come exactly as we imagine them. We create rigid expectations, detailed mental blueprints of how life should show us signs, and when they don't appear as planned, we feel frustration, doubt, confusion. It's like trying to fit a river into a narrow channel. The water insists on following its own course, and the force we use to contain it only creates turbulence. Greg Braden reminds us that the intelligence of the field does not follow the linear logic of the mind. It responds to the frequency we emit, to the silent alignment between our heart and our attention, not to the form we imagine. Often, solutions and answers come in unexpected ways, in simple gestures, in seemingly trivial encounters, or in small twists and turns of everyday life. What seemed distant or impossible emerges lightly, gently, and surprisingly, revealing that life does not have to meet our rigid expectations to be clear and meaningful. When we look for signs with the intention of confirming a plan or validating a prediction, our perception narrows. But by allowing the field to manifest freely, without the need to fit answers into predefined molds, we open space to perceive new possibilities, new nuances and insights that were previously invisible. Life then reveals itself as a delicate, sensitive dialogue that responds to our inner state rather than to explicit requests. It is in this space of surrender and openness that transformation begins. When we let go of form and focus on the essence of what we want to feel or achieve, we begin to perceive signs in unexpected places, to pick up on subtleties that previously went unnoticed, and the energy that seemed stagnant begins to move, fluidly, harmoniously, revealing a path that we could never have imagined, but which was always at our disposal. Communication with the unified field is not magic. Greg Braden reminds us that it is a delicate skill, cultivated through conscious observation, silent respect for what lies beyond the obvious, and a willingness to perceive what often goes unnoticed. Every gesture, every sensation, every moment of attention is a thread that connects us to this living web, showing that life responds more to our inner state than to any explicit request. Joe Dispenza reinforces that every time we recognize and honor a sign, even a subtle one, we strengthen neural connections that make us more sensitive to other signs. This continuous practice transforms perception, awakens intuition, and brings us closer to a constant dialogue with life. True mastery is not in collecting signs or interpreting each detail in isolation, but in adjusting one's own internal state to live in resonance with one's surroundings. Learning to listen to the universe is like learning a new language. It requires daily practice, attention to detail, and a willingness to listen more than to speak. It is necessary to recognize that not all answers will come in the way we expect, that not all signs will be obvious, but that when we are present and sensitive, every moment carries meaning, every gesture contains a message, and every silence reveals understanding. And so, by tuning into your heart and mind, by allowing patience and presence to guide your perception, you begin to feel the transformation. Your energy reorganizes, expands, and harmonizes, creating a deeper connection with life and with the invisible that has always been around you. It is in this state that the dialogue with the universe becomes constant, delicate, and profound, and you realize that true change begins within you, silent, persistent, and infinitely wise.